Hey folks, Landstryder here, and welcome back to another episode of Diary of a Technowizard. I'm here on the Primus server playing the Unabridged Modpack, and today I want to show you a little bit of what I've been doing as far as updating the automations around the base and getting things completely switched over to the applied energistic system. For now, I'm not 100% sure about this, and I want to get you guys' feedback on it. So what I did is I tore down the whole Botania rune automation that I had before. As much as I really did enjoy setting it up, and I thought it was really cool and awesome looking and everything like that, but I wanted to do something that tied into the applied energistic system, into the automation. I still wanted to use Steve's factory manager to assist, and yeah, really pretty much have to use Steve's factory manager to get this automation into play. I moved the mana the mana pools forward a little bit, kind of squashed everything into here. You can see that I've got an open crate above that mana pool. I've got an open crate above the runic altar, and I've got an open crate above the agglomeration plate. And the agglomeration plate does work all cramped up like this because it has the appropriate stones in the appropriate places underneath there. So yeah, there's no problem with using it like this. And then right above these guys, it looks like I have planks, but these are actually item buffers. You've probably noticed that I've really started enjoying using these item buffers because they're so easy to hide. And then that's actually not a huge inventory or anything like that, but it does give you enough space to put the stuff required for a recipe into it. So underneath here, let me get out actually it's right there. So we can see that I've got some interfaces coming over this way, and this will actually that lets me open that. We can see that I've also got an item buffer here, and there's an item buffer directly underneath this interface, the squared interface here. Now the reason I'm using the squared interface there is because that's the inventory that the applied or the Steve's factory manager puts the resulting crafted item. Puts the crafted item back into the applied energistic system. So yeah, that's the input back. Those two interfaces down there, this one is for when I want to craft a mana pearl or a mana diamond or mana steel or terra steel. So through the program, and I'll explain that here in a minute, when stuff goes into this interface or into this buffer, if the ME system puts stuff in there in this buffer, the factory manager is going to determine whether or not I'm trying to make terra steel, and if so, it's going to drop the things onto the agglomeration plate, or if I'm trying to make a mana pearl diamond or whatever. And then if that's the case, it's going to drop it into this mana pearl. I can also set this up so that I can kind of automate the production, because it's got that it's got the green, what is it called? This guy right here. It's got the conjuration catalyst in it. So I could also set that up so that the applied energetic system would be able to duplicate glowstone or nether quartz, some other things too that I can duplicate using that conjuration catalyst. I could also end up, if I wanted to, I could actually put another one of those droppers over top of this mana pool and such. I don't think that's really necessary though. At least not yet. And if we look in here, you can see that I've already set up the automations to craft all the basic runes so that the applied energistic system knows what to do for these different things. So whenever I go to the system and ask for some runes, so let's see, a rune that I need more of, I could probably use another summer rune. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it to craft a summer rune. It's going to tell me that it's going to take some sand, some slime ball, melon. I got all that stuff available. I'll go ahead. I'm just going to start it. And you'll see in just a second, it'll go ahead and start dropping all the stuff onto the altar. And then after everything's onto the altar, it'll go ahead and activate the ritual. And then, yeah, it's rather quick. So let's get into the meat of how the Steve's factory manager works on this. Now there's a. I guess before we start getting into too much detail here, I should mention that there is one major drawback to the system. If I try to request more than one item right now, it'll mess up. It can't do more than one rune at a time at any given time. It's also it also won't handle like say and I can fix this later on, but right now it also cannot handle. So if I ask for a winter rune, you can see that the winter rune requires a rune of water and a rune of earth. Well, it also knows how to make those rune of water and rune of earth, but it can't. If it's going to go try to make that. Actually, let me try that once. I actually am not 100% sure about that. Rune of water and rune of earth. So if I take the runes of water out of there, and I tell it to make me a winter rune. Yeah, I haven't tried this yet, so this may or may not work. So before it can make that, yeah, okay, so it's going to drop the stuff on there. Yeah, actually this might work. So it's got to make the rune of, yeah, there it goes. It made the rune of water. Now that it has a rune of water, in just a moment, it should drop the stuff on there for the rune of earth. Okay, I guess that did work. I don't know what I was fretting about. Because it's going to wait until it gets that rune back before it goes ahead and sends the other ingredients. Okay, we're okay there. Okay, so that's not a disadvantage. The disadvantage that it does have is that if I ask for multiple runes at one time, I think it's storming outside. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of. There we go. That should get rid of the weather. So yeah, it's not a good idea to ask for more than one rune at any given time. And other than that, it should be pretty good. Now, I've got these two buttons right here. One of these buttons is going to go ahead and uncamouflage the Steve's Factory Manager pieces. So there we go, and we can see what this is. These are just cable clusters with camouflage in them. This one right here is a redstone receiver with cable camouflage, which is what's taken in those the signals from those buttons. And let's see, right here we've got the redstone emitter. This is what actually initiates the dispenser, that redstone emitter. And over here I've got a remote comparator, which is looking at the runic altar. So how that works is the runic altar will emit a redstone signal when it's ready to do the craft. So when you first put stuff on there, it's not emitting a signal. When you activate it, it starts to emit a signal of 1. So this piece of redstone will light up, but that's not enough to trigger the dispenser. As soon as it's got enough mana to finish the crafting, it emits a redstone signal of 2, which will immediately trigger the dispenser and finish the craft. So I thought that was a better way of handling it. I tried a bunch of different things with the Steve's Factory Manager, and I actually ran into an interesting bug, which I'm not even going to try to explain because it's really weird and it's highly unlikely that it would run into that circumstances unless you're trying to do something crazy like this. So, yeah, we're not even going to go there. So, yeah, that's it. And the final bit of this is that this one right here has the item valve. That is the one that allows it to pick up the objects that are on the ground in front of it. And it's facing this direction, so it can pick up anything over here in about a 7x7x7 area. So plenty of range on it. The only little bit of issue that I might have with this whole system is because I made it so compact, so tight in here, that occasionally something could fall back onto the runic altar before that has a chance to pick it up. Which hasn't. It has happened once, and I fixed a thing in the program that should prevent that from happening again. But because the runic altar does, if something's fresh, if something was just crafted, it won't accept it back onto the altar real quick. So in here, this is a program group that just basically does the camouflage. I got a trigger that looks for the redstone signal to come into this receiver. From one side, it'll set the camouflage. From the other side, it'll clear the camouflage. And then so you push that button, and it disguises everything again back to nice looking so that you hardly tell that it's there. And yeah, that was the whole issue with the the reason you can see this redstone emitter is not camouflaged is because putting the redstone emitter in a camouflage block and then using the pulse mode causes a bug. That's about all I can say about that. All right, so this line of sequence right here is the one that does all the runes. It's relatively simple. Basically, it's just looking every 5 seconds or so. It checks the container to see if this one item buffer that's closer to it checks that item buffer, and if that item buffer if that item buffer has a piece of living rock in it. Remember, all runes are going to require a piece of living rock. So if there's a piece of living rock in the item buffer, it's going to go ahead and take everything out of the item buffer. Blacklist, nothing's blacklisted, so it's going to grab everything out of the item buffer, and it's going to move it to the item buffer above the altar, the middle one, this one right here. All these item buffers are set to push out of the bottom, so they push out their stuff into the open crate, and it falls straight down on wherever they need to go. Then there's a delay trigger. This is a delay trigger. This is only added by Steve's add-ons. So if you don't have Steve's add-ons, you won't be able to use a delay trigger. But if you're using Steve's Factory Manager, I highly recommend that you have Steve's add-ons too, because it really does add a nice bit of functionality to it that it should probably have had anyway. So yeah, that's a delay trigger. It just delays it 7 seconds, 7.5 seconds. 7 seconds and 5 ticks, which is actually 7.25 seconds, which is more than enough time for the open crate to drop all the items onto the altar. And then after that 7 seconds, it does a pulse. It pulses that redstone emitter that's beside the dispenser. So it just sends a pulse to this, which starts the which starts the crafting process. So this thing starts firing mana at it, and this is very fast. This is an upgraded Gaia mana spreader. You can see that when I using it to fill this, or using it to power up the altar to make runes, it did it very fast. So that's nice. I've upgraded both this one and this one to Gaia mana spreader since I've got plenty of Gaia shards. So I've killed it a number of times. I've got 65 of those now. So yeah, that's it. And what picks up the runes is this over here. This trigger goes every second because I want to make sure that I grab the rune before it has a chance to fall back onto the altar, before it has a chance to put it back on the altar. And all it does is it's looking at the item valve. So it's looking at any items on the ground in front of it out there in that area. And it takes those. It's actually got a whitelist here, items. So it's only looking for the runes, the finished runes. So it doesn't want to it's not going to allow any finished runes to be floating around out there. It's immediately going to pick them up, or very, very quickly going to pick them up. And it's also looking for Terra Steel ingots, because there's no circumstances where I would want a Terra Steel ingot floating around out here. Because if Terra Steel's out here, it's done crafting. It's been crafted by the agglomeration plate. So that over there is just the thing that picks up the runes. Really simple. Trigger, input, output. And of course the output here is the ME interface. This guy right here. So that puts it back into the applied energistic system. Okay, and then this trigger set over here. This trigger, conditions, inputs and outputs and all that. This is what does the Terra Steel and anything that needs to be put into the mana pool. So if we look in here, there's a reason this one's a little more convoluted. So once every 5 seconds, 5 second delay here, or 5 second between run throughs, it's first going to check the other item buffer. So not the item buffer under this interface, but this item buffer here. So those recipes are in this one. This one is going to get some more recipes. I'm going to go make one of those up here in a little bit, in just a minute, and test it. But it's looking in that inventory for mana steel, mana pearls, or mana diamonds. Because if I send a mana steel, mana pearl, or mana diamond, it's going to actually be all of them. But it's looking for if any, because I don't want it to... probably should say require all. But it works the way it is. I'm not going to bother with it. It should work either way, because when the interface puts stuff into the buffer, it's pretty much going to do all of it instantaneously. So those are going to show up in there. This condition is going to read true if those things are in there, and then it's going to take the items out of that item buffer, and it's going to put them into the item buffer. Yeah, this item buffer that is above the agglomeration plate. So it'll put it into this one to make a piece of Terra steel. Alternatively, Alternatively, if it looks in that container and that stuff's not in there, any of those items are not in there, but there's something in there, there's any kind of item in there, it's going to go ahead and take that item from the item buffer, and it's going to put it into the other item buffer that is above the mana pool. So it's going to put it in that item buffer, and it's going to drop into the mana pool. So if like a piece of iron is in there, it'll go into the mana pool. It's also going to go down this leg of the program. So once it does that, once it moves those things up in there, it's going to hit this trigger. This trigger is just another delay trigger. It delays it for 5 more seconds. That's plenty of time for the items to get dropped out into the mana pool and do whatever they need to do, transformation or whatever. Then it's going to go ahead and look for any item on the ground out there. So nothing. So no blacklist with nothing blacklisted. So any item on the ground, it's going to go ahead and pick that up and put it back into the interface. Now, and that's why I have this trigger right here, this 5-second delay, to give the mana pool enough time to do the transformation of whatever the item is. So let's give this a shot. Let me see, what do I need? I need mana pearls. Mana pearls? I don't really need mana pearls. I actually need a few more mana diamonds. Let's go ahead and go 10 mana diamonds, and we'll test this out next. Go. So those in just a moment should drop into that mana pool. See, they got picked up, and are they going to get picked up before they go onto the altar? Maybe. That's a very long delay. They should get picked up. Okay, clearly something is not quite right there. Those should be getting picked up about now. No? I don't know. I'll have to diagnose that. Is maybe this is definitely correct. The output is definitely correct. Maybe my trigger was too long or too short. I'm not sure. It did happen quite fast. So I might want to turn that down a little bit. Or maybe restart it. I don't know. This delay? Okay, no, I don't know what's going on there. Stuff's still sitting around out here. It is interesting. Okay, apparently I've got a little bug in my program, and I don't know exactly what it is. So the input here, that shouldn't matter what side, because it basically goes off what it's facing. Target, blacklist should have picked up everything, anything and everything. Let me just try this again. Let's throw a bunch of these on the ground here and back up, see if it gets picked up. Ah, very interesting. I'm not sure why it's deciding it doesn't want to pick those up, but I'll have to diagnose it later. It should work. It was working before, and we'll just go ahead and throw them back into that interface so that the ME system knows that they did get crafted, and it'll cancel that crafting task. So yeah, no crafting tasks in there. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with that. It was working before. Some minor glitch somewhere in my program here. I might have to look at this condition maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway. Yeah, I'll figure this out later, but this was totally working before. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. Maybe because this trigger is doing something with the thing here. What's it called? With the item valve. I'm not sure. But other than that, it has been working quite well. And like I said, there's a few little minor things and tweaks and bugs and things that I can work out. One of the things I might need to eventually work out is a way to prevent it from, like if I do want to order multiple runes of the same kind of rune all at once, a way to prevent it from taking in the materials or the way to make it only take the materials for one rune at a time. And I can do that by setting this in here, this blocking mode. And then leaving some kind of item in the item buffer until the crafting part is done, and then somehow the Steve's Factory Manager would move that item back into the ME system along with the finished product. And then that would allow the interface to go ahead and put more stuff into the buffer once the buffer is completely cleared. So there's a way that I can do that later on. It's not a big serious thing, as long as you know that you can only make one rune at a time, or you can only request one rune at any given time. The system should work. And I'm going to have to, again, troubleshoot the rest of that. That's really bugging me, because it was working fine before when I was putting stuff onto that. Unless that flower is somehow... No, that couldn't possibly be, because it was working before. Anyway, let's go make a pattern, because we still need to program quite a few runes, because I didn't do the tier 3 runes. So now that I'm using this system, I can easily set it up for doing the tier 3 runes. And I got a couple of runes already. So I've got a rune of gluttony, which is, let's see, it's going to tell that it needs 2 mana diamonds, a rune of winter, and a rune of fire. So fire, a rune of winter, 2 mana diamonds, 2 mana diamonds, and then of course you need the living rock. Living rock. So that's going to make this fairly easy to set up the rest of these. All I got to do is get the actual rune. And actually, while I'm at it, I've actually got a couple of one or two of these runes already ready to go, so I can probably do the envy. Oh, something is watching you. Maybe it's time to stop. Water and winter. So there's already winter there, so all I need to do is switch that rune to water, and then I can make the rune of envy. Oh, I hate it when I do that. There's an easy way to fix that. I can do that. Clear those. Actually, I didn't want to clear the winter. All I need to do is clear that, set that. I'm actually going to get 2 of these from this crafting. There we go, 2 of those. I'll have to fix the other one here in just a moment, but this was a rune of water. Right? Is that right? Let me double check. Water, winter, diamonds, yes. Do that. I'll go ahead and fix this one while I'm thinking about it, because I'm actually going to get 2 runes of gluttony, and I'm just going to rewrite it over top of that recipe. Good. Perfect. Wonderful. So I'm also going to have to make the initial rune, at least one of each of the runes, tier 3 runes, manually in order to be able to program these all in. So this one down here, this one's full. It's got the tier 1s and tier 2s, which is a total of 9. So I've got 7 more to go, the 7 deadly sins. So that should fit in here, and have 2 left over that I probably just won't be able to use, because that's all you use the altar for in this pack, is to make the runes. They're everywhere. Run! Oh my goodness, spiders. Yeah, obviously my wand is not doing 100% on keeping my warp effects from bugging me. Yeah, well, we'll not worry about that. and just press on. But yeah, I want to test this. So if I ask for a rune, come on, rune. I don't know which one of these I might use more of. I'm thinking maybe it might be the gluttony. So we'll go with, let's make a gluttony rune. Go. Let's see what happens. So yeah, we had all the parts in the system to go ahead and straight make that. And it's done. It's made it. And if I look in here, I should have a gluttony rune, an extra gluttony rune now, or 2. Yeah, made me 2 runes. Perfect. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these off camera. I just wanted to show you the process of doing one of these. It's just a matter of I'm going to have to do the first one by hand so that I have an actual rune to program the interface downstairs. And then, yeah, so that's all that. That's the new automated Botania system. And you may have also noticed that I turned this mana enchanter around a little bit so that when you came up through, you didn't have one of these things, mana pylon, right in your face right here. And then to make the design on the ceiling down here a little more consistent, I went ahead and added a couple of extra bits of that garden soil. You can see, I think it looks pretty good now. It's a nice circle. Filled back in some of the clusters that I had broken while I was in the process of fixing it, and I actually put another ring of clusters right up to the edge of the obsidian down here. So just trying to keep it all looking really nice as I go. So let's look down here at what I did. I haven't done any more automation with this since last episode. I still need to set up some more recipes and things. I have to decide on what it is that I actually need recipes for, because there's quite a few. There's quite a lot of recipes that use that alchemistry set that I'm going to be needing to do in order to get into some advanced spell crafting in blood magic. So all this stuff right here that you see, all these little bits and pieces of spell crafting for blood magic, I really want to get into that stuff. I want to get into using some of these bell jars with their various magic essences in them, and because those can affect different rituals, and we want to do some more rituals. So we might get into that soon. And yeah, I've just basically been working on getting all the logistics set up for all of that. And one of those things that was a major thing, okay, if we look over here, I've added myself some more molecular assembler chambers. Remember, I just had the 1 and the 1 interface. Now I've switched that up. I've got 4 molecular assembler chambers around this interface. And this interface can share these 2 molecular assembler chambers, and there's actually another molecular assembler chamber right there. So I got 3 molecular assembler chamber, or 3 interfaces with access to 4 molecular assembler chambers. And this actually makes the crafting go very fast. I was actually quite pleased with the performance of this just checkerboard design, especially since I've gone ahead and taught it how to make the parts for the applied energistics system and a few other bits and pieces that I might need from time to time. And then over here, like carpet, because I need carpet for runes occasionally, and I don't want to keep a bunch of fishing poles on hand, so I went ahead and taught it how to make the fishing poles for when I need the water runes or whatever, and capacitors, because I have a feeling I'm going to probably need a few more capacitors and stuff as I go forward. I've set up a sag mill and an alloy smelter down here with an interface each to go ahead and start automating some of those crafting, some of that stuff, some of that crafting stuff. I might need to spread these out so that I can get more interfaces on one device, but I think what I would rather do instead is spread them out to make more sag mills and more alloy smelters as I need to program more recipes that use it. Because that's probably my primary thing. That's, as far as tech goes, that's what I'm going to use. Except for this. I had to make an exception here. I had to make a thermal expansion device, because I thought that this would be like one of the easiest ways to automate the process of getting bottles and buckets of water for different recipes. Bottles of water and buckets of water might be needed to automate certain recipes. And then I got one over here, another fluid transposer. This one's just for buckets of lava. And those are mainly because I need the buckets of lava and the bottles of water to automate the alchemical processes up there. Yeah, that's where we're at up here. The rune, the ritual downstairs of the drill is doing quite well. The only thing I think I might need to do is come up with a way to turn that off, because I've noticed that it does draw quite a bit of blood to keep itself running while I'm not online. So unless I leave it running all the time, which I don't want to do, because I remember the mob farm shuts off when I'm not online because of these controls up here. So when I first log on, my blood pool is usually down a couple million. And you also might notice that it's above 10 million, which is usually the maximum that you can have for the Archmage's Blood Orb. Is that the one I got? Blood Orb? I currently have this one right here. Yeah, the Archmage's Blood Orb. There's two above that. There's a Transcendent one, and then there's the Eldritch Blood Orb, which apparently has Warping 5. Nice. You get more warped later on. But the way that that's working, let me go down and show you what I did. I did set up the altar all the way downstairs. So we'll go down and take a look at that in a second. I removed all of the... Oops, wrong elevator. Gotta come over to this one to get down into the basement. I removed some of the stuff down here, and you notice that I've now got runes of dislocation. This is basically for the future. I'm planning to set up something where I can pipe liquid blood or liquid life essence straight into this altar. But I don't have all the logistics set up for that just yet. And then I've switched out the runes in here for runes of dislocation as well. So it's got speed runes on one side and runes of dislocation in the other side. So that now, when I toggle these buttons up here, I'm actually switching those out to runes of dislocation and making it and between that and speed. So sometimes I might need it to be more fast. Sometimes I might need it to get blood in from whatever blood storage device that I end up putting together for all that. So let's go down and take a look at what I did down at the mob farm. And let's see, where's it at? Approximately right here. Yep, there we go. So yep, set up the altar. This one's not nearly as fancy as the one upstairs, but I don't think it needs to be. But you can see that at the tier 4 runes are all runes of the orb. Each one of these increases the maximum amount that your blood altar can store in your rune, in your orb, by 2%. So there's 7 on each side. That adds up to 28. So that means I can have 56% more. And if we look, I'm almost exactly 56. Actually, I am exactly 56% more blood in my life pool than standard, than would normally be allowed. Now I've also, let me just drop these things so that they end up back in the system. I've also put these drawbridges here so that the spikes don't kill anything, and when the thing is supposed to be killing. I actually can. It really doesn't matter at this point because it's so full. It's 100% full. My blood network's full. The altar's full. So letting the spikes do a little bit of killing is okay at this point. I'm debating on whether I should just completely remove the spikes, because they're kind of not necessary at this point, because the ritual does do the killing for me. And it basically simulates it as though I killed the mob, so I'm getting all the drops. I'm not getting like looting. I'm not getting it as if they were looting, but I really don't need that many more drops off of these things, honestly. So I'm thinking maybe the spikes could go at this point, and then I really wouldn't need the drawbridges either at that point. So basically I just put those in there just to make sure that the mobs weren't getting killed at all by the spikes, and that all the blood was going into the network. But really, honestly, don't matter too much either way at this point. So I think those spikes are going to go, because the altar is going to do the killing. And then I can reclaim those drawbridges and use them for something different, some other project. Oh yeah, this thing is working out super great. I can keep my blood network full quite well. I'm getting tons of drops. And I'm probably not going to need to set up too many more farm-like things. There's a few things that I need to farm. I've got to come up with a way to get some more of the rune ingredients in case I need to make more. There's a few things like on the list of rune stuff, like mushrooms. Mushrooms are needed for some of the runes, and I don't have a way to farm those just right this moment, but I probably could set something up pretty easily. Let's see, something else was, what was the other thing? There was something else on the list. Oh, melons. I don't have a way to farm. I'm not farming melons right now. I just have a small supply of melons for making runes. But we want to get into some more advanced things from the Botania stuff. There's some new things in here that I have never messed with before, and I want to mess with some of these things. And I still haven't got all my dice. I haven't got all my relics just yet, so I still got to go back and kill some more tier 2 guys, or hardcore guys, or whatever you want to call them. And I want to get an automation similar to what I got going on up here with the Botania. I want to set up something similar like that for my runic altar. There's some things that I'm going to want to be able to just say, well, let's give you a perfect example. One of the things I want to be able to just order up out of here is the warped. What is it called? Is it awakened? I don't even have. Yeah, it's actually this guy right here, the awakened warpwood sapling, which is an infusion crafting. So I want to find a way that I can use to completely automate this, so that it can check on the aspects, that I make sure that I have enough aspects, or automatically keep these particular aspects at a certain level in the system. Then it just basically void seeds and warpwood saplings, which I have warped saplings, warpwood. Yeah, I do have some warpwood saplings in there. I've got some seeds, void seeds, so that I would be able to just go, hey, make me 10 awakened saplings so that I can get some more warpwood stuff. It'd be even more awesome if I made some method of actually farming those saplings. I'm not sure. I bet Golem would be able to cut those down and collect the void seeds and everything too. But yeah, so we're getting further into the automation of all this, and I want to get into some top tier blood stuff. I want to get into some top tier Botania stuff, and I still got to revisit witchery, because I have done nothing really all that advanced in witchery. So we might be at some point moving all of our witchery stuff over here from the main village, or not so much moving it, but actually setting up a second area for witchery right here underneath the base, down possibly like this hill would probably work out pretty well for maybe putting an altar or something like that. And we'll see what we can do to automate some of that stuff as well, because I'd like to at some point have a completely automated poppet shelf where it would just keep death protection poppets on there at all times, and if I pop one, it'll automatically craft one and put it back. So I think that would be pretty awesome. And maybe even hide that in a dimensional pocket or something like that, someplace that only I can access. That would be even more awesome. So we'll see what we can do about all that. But for now, I think that's where we're going to wrap this up. It's just basically been a little bit of an update episode, probably mostly about automating Botania with applied energistics. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, or if you think this is too much, let me know, because I've been on the fence about whether this is the way to do this. I was highly considering doing a system where it was still the push button, push a button and it would make the rune for me and then pop it out and give it to me or whatever. Let me know if you think that maybe I should go back to that kind of a system, and I might tear this down and redo it again and put something else together with Steve's Factory Manager. And there's another block that I wanted to actually use if I did that. And let's see if I can find it. Yeah, actually, let's see. Right there, this guy right here. The Energistics connector, which would allow the Steve's Factory Manager to communicate with the inventory of the applied energistics system. So I'm going to use one of those eventually in one of my builds, in one of my automations. And it's probably going to be for the I'm definitely going to use one down here when it comes to making the automations involving the runic maker, the infusion altar. So we'll get into doing some of that in the future. But yeah, let me know what you want to see, basically, and I will work towards that, because I've run out of things to build. Big builds. There's lots of things I still want to do. There's lots of things I still want to mess around with in this pack that I haven't touched. But as far as magic goes, what should I focus on next? What should be my goals next? Should I work towards maybe doing the demon invasion? I think that would be a pretty cool thing to work towards. And I'm pretty sure that I've got enough automation and stuff like that down here that we could get to there pretty quick. Or do you want to see some more Gaia fights? Do you want to see me do the witchery bosses and get into the witchery stuff next? I've pretty much done almost everything that has to do with Thaumcraft, except for the stuff that just recently got out of the pack. I've done almost all of that on camera at this point. So, yeah, go down to the comments. Let me know what you want me to do next. Oh boy, this is the way to end it. So if you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it, be sure and leave a like, comment, a thumbs up, and until next time, I will catch you later.